Yeah, today we're going to talk about Charles. By show of hands, who has used Charles? Very few. Okay, so this is new to everybody. Okay, cool. So who's a web developer here? You call yourself developers and you haven't used Charles. Okay, just kidding. No, that's fine. So, Charles is a great tool, and it will help you with debugging your forms and debugging your APIs and, yeah, in general, just providing a lot of useful tools when building web applications. So if you've ever, who's ever integrated with a third-party service like SnapScan or PayFast or whoever else? Okay, quite a few. How did you guys debug those requests going out? Did you like dump the parameters before they got sent, or did you have a proxy looking at it, or how did you do it? Dumping out? Yeah? Okay. A lot of dumping. Okay, cool. So Charles can also help with that. I won't cover that in this little lightning talk, but you can pretty much take what I'm showing you now and apply it to any environment outside of the browser. Cool. So let's get started. So I've already installed Charles for brevity, but what you'll see the first time you launch Charles is this very annoying message, which is bound to come up any second now. This one. This is a 30-day trial, and be a good person and buy the software. Now it will delay the startup by 10 seconds every time. The software is $50, which is what, about 1,000 Rand now? What's the exchange rate? But it's well worth it, and it'll really help. So do chip in and get the software. Otherwise, it'll bring up all these annoying messages all the time. But it's manageable. So what the hell is Charles? Who doesn't know what a proxy is? No? Okay, everybody understands what a proxy is. So Charles will basically sit in between your browser and your network stack, and it will monitor any requests going from the browser out to any website, okay? And it can listen on any particular port, but it usually just monitors the main web one, so AT and 443. But you can point it at other ones. Let's have a look at how it does that. So if I make a request to this little Laravel application that I've set up here, you can see it does a few things. It launches, or it captures this request to 127.0.0.1.8000, and this is the request to /, as you can see the URL here. Can anybody read that? You gonna need glasses after this? A bit out of focus. Okay. If you don't bitch, then I don't fix. Okay. Cool. So we can see the request, right? All the HTTP headers. We can have a look at the response. Here's all the HTML. Here all the set cookie instructions. Here's the whole thing as raw text. So pretty cool, right? But it's also loading the logo from the Xander website, and it's loading some fonts from Google. And so there's a bit of stuff here that we don't want to see. So what we can do is go into proxy recording settings, and then go here to include. And what I'm going to do here is just include 127.0.0.1 and include port 8000. Okay, and now when I clear this and I refresh the page, it does other things. So let's have a look here. Did I enable it? Okay, cool. Look, it's a demo. Not everything goes perfect. Shut up. Okay, so right. Oh no, but yeah. So it did capture this. It didn't capture the request to Xander, so at least that's reduced one thing. And you can also exclude stuff. So I wonder if we can go to recording settings, exclude, and then say anything like gstatic.com. Right, reload the page. It's still doing it. It's probably because of the HTTPS. That's fine. So what else can Charles do? Charles can have a look at the structure of the request going out and the response coming back in. So let's do that now. I've got a simple form here, and what the form will allow you to do is just post a simple param to a little Laravel application that I've set up here. So it's going to receive a post on /JSON, and it's going to return some JSON data. So just put in whatever. Okay, nothing spectacular here, just return some JSON. But if we have a look in Charles, we can see the request. So that's the CSRF token, disregard that. That's the variable that I sent through. and then here's the response. So that's the raw response. And now we can see it as JSON. And you can see it knows about how to represent a JSON object in a tree structure. And we can also just have a look at it as JSON text. Okay? So that's pretty cool. Yeah? Right. It can do the same thing for XML. So if we send some stuff through as XML, right, that's the response that comes back. And there you get one of those little annoying Charles messages. That's why you should buy the software. Okay. So here's the response that comes back. There we go. XML. You can open and close these nodes. It's really nice. Who's had to work with the SOAP API recently? Right? So it understands SOAP as well. I'm not going to demo SOAP because I'm not a masochist. Right. Okay. Cool. Then we've got the ability to do some repeating of requests. So this is really cool. So if you're testing some part of your application that requires a whole long series of steps to get to a request, instead what you can do is just go to the request here in the request list, right-click, and say repeat. And then it repeats exactly the same request, and you get whatever response you get from the server. So this is actually making a real request. It's just replaying that request that you did before. Similarly, you can repeat it in an advanced way. So you can say, let's do 100 iterations, and let's do 5 concurrently. And then you can see it's busy DDoSing my own server. Okay? So it's doing its thing. You can click on the top level node, and you can see it's calculating, showing you the extent of your damage. Cool, right? Kind of cool? Not really? Okay, cool. Then, who has problems with cache locally on their dev machine before Google Chrome? Everybody. Come on, don't lie. Okay, so Charles can also help you with that, with the node caching tool. You just enable it, only for selected locations. You add whatever. So let's set this here. And then this will no longer send back any cookies at all, which is really neat. And you can change that up. You can make it for all websites if you're like a privacy nut or whatever and don't want any cookies and you want to log in every single time. Who has had issues with setting up their Etsy hosts file and having to update the damn thing all the time? Like the agency guys, like every week it's a new site, it's another record on the Etsy hosts. So what you can do is use the DNS spoofing tool. So all you do is you say host name, let's make this blah.com, address 127.0.0.1. Right, and now I can go to blah.com. Okay, it's just doing a post request there. There we go, blah.com. If I go here, tools, DNS spoofing, turn that sucker off. Sorry, don't know what you're talking about. Cool, so that works. SSL proxy. SSL proxying is really, really cool. So what that allows you to do is it allows you to man in the middle of your own machine to intercept SSL communications, which is really, really cool. So you do that by going here to SSL proxying, install Charles root certificate. You can also do this on iOS simulators, which is really nice. Install Charles root certificate, that brings up your keychain. Here's that certificate here. I'm going to change, actually I'm going to leave that as untrusted for the moment so you can see the error message that comes up. So now when I go to, let's say, twitter.com, and I must also enable the recording here. Let's keep that. Okay, and now I want to proxy the SSL connections between my browser and Twitter servers. So I enable SSL proxying. I turn on the proxying for this host and any port. And now my browser is going to tell me I don't recognize that certificate, right? Because now it's a certificate coming from Charles and it's untrusted. So you just go into your keychain, double click, you change this to trusted, always trust, and you put in your super secret password. Okay, now, according to Twitter, we're using a valid root CA. And we'll even be able to start seeing the requests going back and forth between our computer and Twitter. So let's see. Let's do a little request here. Okay. Why is that not proxying? Recording settings. Let's just monitor everything here. Live demo, always awesome. It's not Charles, it's just the dumb Jew standing in front of you. Okay. So let's. Okay. Okay, cool. So now we can actually see all the HTTPS requests going between our browser and Twitter, which you normally wouldn't be able to see. Like, you shouldn't be able to see what the response is for this, right? Let's try this again. Okay, and now, yeah. So you can see here, this is the query string that it's sending through, and the response that it gets back is nope, right? Because I'm not actually putting in my real password, because otherwise you guys would be able to see it. So, yeah. Yeah, here's the form, right? There's my password. Do you think I'm that dumb? Okay, cool. SSL proxying. Request comparisons. These are quite cool. So I can select two requests, and I can say compare, and it will show me the differences between the requests and the responses. These are two different requests, so you see there's a lot of differences, but if you're testing out an API, you're not quite sure why it works this time and not that time, compare the two requests. Very nice. Throttling. We don't really have to do throttling here because we're in the third world, but if you somehow happen to find yourself working overseas sometime, and you want to feel how it was back home, then you just go here to proxy, throttle settings, only for selected hosts. Let's do Twitter at dial-up. I don't have the dial-up tone, but you can just imagine it in your head. Yeah, right. So yeah, painfully slow, right? Yay, throttling. Okay. Active connections, this is quite cool. You can see all the connections, all the TCP connections happening on your machine going out to other servers as stuff is happening. So you can see here we're making requests to Twitter's CDN and a whole bunch of other stuff, some post requests happening. Cool. Right, so that's it. The third question wins a free license to Charles. That's a curveball. Okay. Okay.
I have two questions.
Okay. They just count as one.
He's got three questions.
Okay.
Well, the first question.
Yes.
Is this specific to Mac?
No.
The second question is if it isn't, well, either way, are there alternatives and how does this compare to those alternatives?
There are alternatives, but I'm demoing this one, so that should give you an indication. I've been using Charles for about 6 years, and I've used it on Ubuntu, Windows, and Mac. So it's a Java tool, and it's, yeah, runs the same everywhere. It's really rad. Cool? That counts as one question, by the way. Okay. Yeah, pretty much. It'll automatically configure where possible. With Firefox, you do have to install an extension, I think, but it's pretty seamless. Like if you're using, they've got a really good guide. So if you're stuck, then it'll help you through it. Otherwise, tweet me or something.
These days, Firefox does it automatically. Mine switches.
Oh, okay. That wasn't a question.
Very
Okay.
Can this intercept transactions going from a third-party application, such as you've got an application open in the background and you want to see the request going to it from the server?
Yeah, sure. Let me fire up Twitter. There you go. So you can see whole bunch of stuff. Should work. Yeah, there you go. You can see the Twitter app trying to make an OAuth request. It's getting back shit. Right, so it will also intercept all network communications on your operating system, not specifically just the browser. Yeah, if you enable it. Cool.
Kelly, because we're putting something between the browser and the network stack, how's the performance of, say, using Charles and having it running and then accessing web pages normally?
Oh, it's minimal. It's a really good piece of software. I never notice whether it's there or not, really. You can leave it open for days at a time, and it's pretty efficient with its memory. Barely uses any memory. It will occasionally leak, and then you just close it and open it again. But you know, it's Java. Yeah, it's really good. Very performant. Any more questions?
Is there any way to sort of misrun Charles remote? So you run it on your local laptop and say you've got a remote server that is talking to another remote server. Are you able to set that traffic between those two?
Yes, I believe so. I've never done it myself, but there is a way to configure like which hosts. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Then you can also set access control, so you can make requests into the server that's running it, and then it'll enable everything by default. You can just turn off this prompt for unauthorized connections, and then it will just accept everything. So you can have this running on your server, intercepting all the communications, and then you just, you know, log into Charles. Yeah, proxy to the proxy. Proxyception. Anyone else? No? Okay. Come chat to me afterwards, yeah? Good.